Wunderkind is a leading performance marketing engine that delivers tailored experiences at scale. Digital businesses use Wunderkind to remember who users are better than ever before, allowing them to deliver high-performing, one-to-one messages on websites, through emails and texts, and in ads at a scale that's not otherwise possible. Wunderkind drives $2.8 billion annually in direct attributable revenue for top e-commerce brands like Uniqlo, Sonos, and HelloFresh, often ranking as a top 3 revenue channel in their own analytics. To learn more, head to wunderkind.co today.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan of Total Retail, and I'm joined today by Anne Cavassa, the president of Saucony. We're going to be talking to Anne today a little bit about the brand's commitment to the running community and how it's going to engage with those consumers in the new year. So thank you for joining me today, Anne.
Thank you, Joe. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you.
So to get us started, why don't you briefly tell our audience a little bit about the Saucony brand for those that might not be familiar with it?
Well, I actually really love our story. It has over 120-year history of running and shoemaking. It's in our blood. We were founded in Kutztown, Pennsylvania, and our name and our logo was actually inspired by the Saucony Creek in Kutztown. It has 3 big boulders and the water kind of flowing through it. And our logo and our brand name is derived from that. You know, at Saucony, we believe in empowering the human spirit, and we believe in running for good. And today, those 3 boulders really represent our guiding principles and our commitment to good health, good performance, and good community.
Do you want to tell us a little bit, Anne, about the distribution channels, so your sales channels, and also a second part of that, tell us a little bit about the customers that Saucony is targeting with its products.
Yeah, well, you know, we're a running brand, and our products are built to deliver on the most discerning runners' needs. While this is the case, we absolutely invite everyone, regardless of speed or distance or terrain, and regardless of whether you're an experienced runner or new to the sport, we invite everybody in. We have a full lineup of shoes for road, for the trail, and for the gym. And we definitely see new runners coming into the sport through COVID, and think it's really important that we're speaking to them, talking to them, inviting them in. And so particularly now when people need, you know, that both that mental outlet and that physical outlet. And so as it relates to our distribution channels, we are very focused on our core run specialty channel. We also know that these new runners coming in, and also just existing runners and buyer behavior, very, very digitally focused. So focused on our digital retail community. We have a business with sporting goods and family. And then we're also highly focused on Saucony.com and really building an amazing brand experience that educates runners and kind of elevates the entire marketplace.
So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned Saucony as a running brand, and you touched on the fact that during COVID, there's been a growth in that hobby or area of interest for many people. It's an opportunity to kind of get out of the house, get some exercise in. So why don't you talk a little bit about what Saucony is doing to kind of cater to that running community, whether it be somebody that's been running for 20 plus years, or somebody that may be new to the sport, as you mentioned, as we're seeing a lot of during COVID.
Well, I actually think you're tapping on something. We think of the running community very broadly, you know, from retailers who cater to runners to running groups and to actual runners. And so as it relates to our specialty run retailers, we think it's incredibly important, especially now, that we're flexible operationally. You know, there's just so much uncertainty and the rate of change. It's really fast. And retailers are pivoting and responding. And we think that we need to be a part of helping them navigate through that and being as flexible as we can to help them drive their business. Additionally, I think that COVID it's a digital accelerator, and those that have strong digital offense and commerce business, connecting directly with runners and helping them focus on how to do that is also really important, which brings me to content that really inspires runners, inspires whether they're newer, experienced, and educates them on product and all things running. And then lastly, I would say community experiences, they're the lifeblood of the running community. So we participate and we support as many community events as possible. And during COVID, obviously, there's fewer physical experiences happening, but there are a few. And then there's also a lot going on digitally. So runners are really highly engaged community in the digital space. And so it's nice to see local retailers benefiting from that, and also us helping support them in that.
And through your website, through some of, I would imagine, some of your marketing channels, social media, you're trying to engage that community, that content piece that you talked about. Do you want to tell us some of the things that you're doing to kind of create that community? As you mentioned, there's less, road races that are taking place this year because of COVID, and all these different events, physical events, have been canceled in many cases. What you're doing to kind of create that sense of community to replace some of those canceled events?
Yeah, well, I would say there's a couple of things. So from a social perspective and a digital perspective, we've really leaned into Strava and our Saucony community on Strava, and are creating Strava challenges for runners who want to be a part of it, specifically with Saucony. We're seeing really great engagement there, and a lot of new people coming in to participate in that. So that's been fantastic. We're also, just from a social perspective, just reminding people, not only, like, we really think about it from the perspective of how do we inspire and engage them to start running and to keep running, even, it's sometimes motivation is challenging, right? So what are the things to help them through that? And then also to stay healthy as they're like falling in love with running and continuing to run. So from a social perspective, you'll see a lot of things coming from us about kind of the lifestyle of running, not just from a product perspective. And then, I also think that our retail partners have digital communities too. And so we're really engaged there as well, and trying to connect and provide information for their runners and for the running community as a whole.
So one of the things that we've seen throughout COVID is the digital acceleration, and you pointed to this as well, that brands and retailers are seeing. Tell us a little about kind of how the shopping behaviors of the running community that that you're targeting and engaging with, how they may have changed during the pandemic, and then as a result of that, what is Saucony doing to kind of cater to those changes to best serve your customers?
Yep. I would say we're seeing three big movements through COVID. The first is digital and e-commerce, of course. So COVID has absolutely been this great accelerator on that front, whether that's Saucony.com or a digital pure play retailer or a brick and mortar retailer who has a .com site. Consumers want running shoes and gear, and they're definitely finding it through all of this. The second, though, is the love of shop local. And with everything going on, I think consumers very much understand the impact of the financial crisis on their local community. And so they want to support and they want to give back to their local community shop. And we're seeing that happen with our retailers. So that's wonderful. And then the third thing is really these new runners that are coming into, whether it's the running boom or the outdoor boom, they're finding their way to running and to walking and being more active. And so whether they're sticking with their favorite stores or they're going to a digital, like, we see that also happening. So how are we responding to those three big things? I would say, one, we're paying very, very close attention to what consumers and the runners are doing. And we have a consumer insights team that's been doing research throughout the pandemic to understand kind of runner sentiment and consumer sentiment, and as well as kind of buying behavior and their desires. And so we're responding to that live and in the moment so that we can be as relevant as possible. So if they're browsing digitally, as an example, we'll surface content that we believe is meaningful to them in that moment, whether that's kind of a shopping experience or learning about running. If they want a sit and fit experience, like a new runner who actually doesn't know which shoe to get into, and we can see that through our shoe advisor or through the navigation on our website, we're hopefully pointing them in the direction of their local shop so they can actually get the expertise required to put them in the right shoe. And then if they want to pick up a pair of running shoes while they're just out shopping for other things, because we're seeing that with some of these new people to the sport, is they just want to go to the same store that they've always gone to, but they want to have running shoes available to them. Well, we're trying to have an assortment that works for them where they're at. So being where they are, I would say, and providing them the most relevant content and communication as well as product where they're at is how we're responding to those three big movements.
And just one follow-up there, Anne, in terms of being relevant and feeding that content, the product they're interested in. How is Saucony, collecting data about its customers and knowing where they are kind of in that life stage of where, as a runner, or if they're a novice, they're really new to the sport and something that they've picked up as during COVID, or maybe they're, somebody that's been running for 15 plus years and they've, really an expert, and they're looking for the, different things from Saucony than somebody that's only been active in the sport for a few months. How are you identifying those customers?
I would say there's two places. One, on Saucony.com. We can see where people are coming to the website, where they're coming from, and what they've just engaged with last and coming to the website. We can actually see where they're going. What page are they going into? Are they going into the home page? Are they going into our shoe advisor? Are they going directly to a product detail page? So we can see that activity. We can see what our Google search is and what their questions they're asking and where they're going from there. So that's helpful to us to know. If someone's going straight to, I'll say, like a Triumph product page, chances are they know us and they know the Triumph. But if they're coming in and doing research on our homepage and or digging into our navigation, we know that they're probably looking for more information. We have a shoe advisor on the site that asks a few questions, and we also monitor that and kind of understand that. And of course, we can see if they've purchased with us before, and being able to communicate with them via email and or social to kind of understand if they are new to us and new to the sport, or if they're just new to us, or what have you. So we can see it on Saucony.com very clearly. And then I would say the other thing is, and I mentioned this earlier, runners are super engaged socially. So they're very interactive with us, and we're going back and forth a lot on social and responding that way. So whether it's information about product, or whether it's information about like running and what to do and how to get going, or, how do you go from just a couple miles to longer distances and things like that. So we're really engaged from a social perspective and have teams of people responding in the moment to answer those questions for them. Yep.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So, we're here at the start of a new year, and which leads me into my next question in terms of, what Saucony is forecasting, and specifically for the running industry in 2021. Do we see more of the same? Do you see any shifts in behavior? And how does that impact your planning as a brand and retailer?
Yeah, well, we believe this like global running boom, and it truly is global. We're in 120 countries approximately, and this is happening everywhere. So we believe that this running boom and this outside boom, it's here to stay for some time. COVID obviously is surging. Vaccines are just becoming available. And we don't really see anything changing in the next 6 months, at least. And I think gyms will probably be quiet throughout 2021. So we expect it to continue, and we're planning accordingly. We're actually really excited about what we have coming in 2021. We have an incredible lineup of product, both on our performance running side and also on our lifestyle side, on our original side. And we're super fortunate to have a nimble supply chain. So we are absolutely planning on participating in that growth. And I think this year, the industry and all brands were kind of caught off guard and Some were able to navigate it better than others, but I think having inventory to really participate in that has been a big part of how you navigate 2020. And so we were absolutely gearing up for that, and focused on our supply chain to be able to deliver for our retailers and for our consumers. And then, as we seek to grow the brand in 2021, I think our focus really is around digital and similar playbook, like just continuing forward with the things that are working for us, both on, elevating our brand on Saucony.com, being super present from a social perspective, and helping our retailers lean into their digital businesses. We'll be focusing there. We'll be focusing on bringing new runners in and continuing to educate them on how to, now that they got into running, let's keep them going. I think every person kind of stumbles along the way, whether it's motivation or injury or what do you do next or goal setting or things like that. So just being there for them through that journey. I would say the other thing that we're really focused on in 2021 is DEI within our industry, right? And making sure that, people say that running is the most democratic sport and you just lace up your shoes and go, but we know that that actually isn't the case, and that we need to work really hard to make our industry diverse and invite people in to running and make it approachable, accessible, and supportive of all communities. And which leads me then to community engagement, of that being kind of the fourth big thing we're really focused on. We do know that, what's going to happen in 6 months. And as soon as people have the opportunity to come together and run again, that's what this community is all about. So in the back half of 2021, we expect to be really focused on like physical community engagement and bringing all that energy that comes with that to our community.
Great. I want to take this opportunity to thank Anne Cavassa, the president of Saucony, for joining us today on Total Retail Talks and telling us a little bit about its brand and how it is engaging and partnering with the running community. So thank you for joining me today, Anne.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.
To learn more about how Wunderkind can drive tangible revenue for your business through high ROI channels like email and SMS, head to wunderkind.co today.